with red-hot stories from post-game, interviews, analysis, within the hour, right here at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Walkout here. It's our training camp recap, day 4. Paul Diner Jr., Jay Morrison here inside the still lovely, still stunning new media conference room. But we have, we didn't get the star of today's activities in the conference room today, but there was still, we wish we would have, because there was quite a large crowd around his locker, and that was day 4 going to go down as the day that Shemar Stewart showed up and practiced and spoke.
And dumped Gatorade into his eyes and burned his eyelid. Rookie mistake. Yeah, you got to know the difference between water and Gatorade.
Yeah, he learned the hard way, spraying Gatorade into his eyes. You don't do that. Don't recommend doing that if you're playing along at home. We're going to talk, of course, as we normally do. We're going to have our takeaway, our play, and our thing that they say. Touch on a little bit of kind of a, not a ton that went down today. It was kind of really all about Shemar on a bit of a, we'll call it a lazy Sunday before the storm tomorrow. And I'm not talking about the ridiculous heat index that continues, but pads show up tomorrow and we can really start throwing down that way. But for now, let's start with a thing they say. And if we're talking about things that they say, it's what Shemar Stewart had to say. Here's mine, Jay. I'm going to say he said all the right things. This is tells you 10 minutes at the locker, the full crowd of everybody in town there wanting to know about everything with his situation. He said for the most part the right things. I felt like, he's here to be all football now. He's feeling this deep sense of joy to have that taken care of, and all of these good things you were hearing from him. But there was one that stood out to me, and that was about, look, do you have any regrets about how this all went down? And it'd been a great opportunity to be like, you always wish it wasn't contentious, or I should. It was, nope. I try to live my life with no regrets. And I appreciate that philosophy. Yeah. I do appreciate that philosophy. But if there was a time to just say, you wish some things maybe didn't. Hey, he stood by how he feels. It would have been a great time to do that. Also asked about his agent, Zach Hiller. Said, that's my dog for life. And he said he wants to have a pit bull, and he believes that he has a pit bull, and that's his dog for life. And good for him. But he stands up and defends his agent and how this process all went down. I just think everybody involved is very happy that they don't have to deal with any of the off-the-field stuff with Shemar Stewart for a while.
Yeah, he did handle it really well. When he came walking over, he saw the crowd. He kind of had this amused smirk on his face. Like, he didn't want to do that. It would have been very easy for a young guy to go in there and be kind of pouty, like, I cannot believe I got to do this after I just almost died on the field. It looked like at times. Like, he was pretty winded. He was not in football shape yet. It didn't appear. But he was really candid at one point when about the process. And he said, he was in a really dark space at one time, and kind of keeping to himself and not talking to anybody, and realized he had to get out of that. But I was impressed with the way he handled it, everything he had to say. My thing that they had to say today goes away from Shemar, was something on the field, and it was, they did a low red zone period toward the end of practice, and Joe Burrow tried to hit Mike Gesicki in the end of the end zone, overthrew him because Jordan Battle had great coverage. And Jordan Battle's not a church mouse, but he doesn't usually talk like this. He started screaming in Gesicki's face, I ain't having that crap. He didn't say crap. and then I think he realized, okay, that's a little too much, and he turned around and he was just saying to nobody in particular over and over again, this is what I do. This is what I do. And I talked to him after practice, and he said, I told Mike I was going to talk a lot today. And so it was a little scripted, but it was interesting to see that from him. And I mean, it kind of told the story of the day, because everything was short and underneath. It's like, that's what they were installing today. And that red zone period ended the day. And that was a defensive performance. There was not a lot of, and I want to jump into stealing your observation here, but there was not a lot for the offense to be happy about in that period.
No, I think that was my main takeaway from the day here, was that low red, it was the very end of practice. Everybody's hot, everybody's winding down, and it's okay, down close quarters. It was as good as the defense has looked since day one, where you
Mhm.
just saw that they were in the right spot. They weren't leaving openings for Burrow in the passing game. And there was even a run play that got stuffed
Yeah.
up the middle. A couple of those. There was a fade ball with the one you're probably talking about when Battle was right there on
Mhm.
Gesicki. I mean, you know, he's right in the right spot. Let's I got a couple plays. I was standing back behind the end zone. So for those of us, we love all of you that, of course, watch on the YouTube channel. A couple of examples here. We'll pull one in. So this is the back corner here. So you've got Burrow drops back. He's looking for the cross in the corner or over here in the front to sample. I mean, this is the front one. There's DJ Turner makes the play right there. You can see it. We'll watch it again here. You know, this is how close the quarters. I mean, they're on the 2-yard line here. It's basically a 2-point conversion, and you think it's just kind of a nice, easy ball, short. DJ Turner all over it, breaking it up. They were always in the right spot. Here's another one. Let's bring in this one. This is the one to the back corner where you're going to see Andre Yosivas trying to get open down there. Burrow lops one up to him and wasn't able to get his feet down, despite what was being false, the fake news that was happening in the back of the end zone saying touchdown. His feet are out of bounds because there was just too much pressure pushing him back there. This was every play that we were seeing this is what it looked like. It just wasn't quite there. They weren't able to pull it off. And I don't know if Burrow would be sitting behind us again, mad about that period or whatever, but I felt it was more of the defense making plays down there in the low red today than it necessarily was the offense not making things happen, but they were making plays.
Yeah, I was just counting up 5 passes from Burrow in that period, 0 completions.
0 completions. What's your takeaway?
So my takeaway from the day, was playing a little hurt today. Concert in Columbus last night, late night out on the town in Columbus. Had to wake up this morning to get here. So I sat down at this practice more than I ever. I mean, I was either on my stool or in the grass pretty much the whole practice. And at one point, I look over, and you mentioned the heat index is over 100. It's just brutal hot. And I look over, and there's nearly 90-year-old Mike Brown standing. Normally he's in his car. He's standing on the sideline watching practice. And I'm like, I can't even get my sorry butt up to stand and watch practice. Thanks, Mike, for making me feel even worse than I already felt.
Yeah. Mike's been standing more this game. I've noticed
Yeah.
that. I mean, he's not showing any signs of the 90 happening. It's okay. I say to Mike, it's okay to be in the cart. Nothing wrong with being in the cart. Nobody has a problem with that. Also, you mentioned the stools. I would like to say Stool Team 6 is growing.
Yes,
okay. Like
yeah.
there are a lot more stools this year. Kelsey Conway debuted a stool today.
Yep.
Laurel Fowler has the stool. I see they're spreading across. I gave Pat Brennan from the Inquirer the link today. He said he's going to go stool.
Yep.
He brought a chair that had this weird triangle shape that men should not be using the triangle shaped chair. And so I'm just saying, I feel like the influencer money should be out there. If you're,
Yes.
you know, if you are the maker of the stool, you know, the makers of the stool, I'm just saying we are spreading a lot of good words out here. If you want to talk to us about us having some kind of a deal with you.
Last year, Brad Robbins asked me for the link to the stool. He was really impressed with it. So
it's an impressive stool.
They are popular.
They are popular. They're growing. All right. I guess let's wrap it up with a play. What's your play?
So something we hadn't seen in camp yet, and I don't remember them getting this far into 4 practices in before we got our first interception today. It wasn't Joe Burrow, it was Jake Browning. It was a naked boot. We know how he feels about naked boots, but it was really slow developing. He almost, kind of had to slow down and tiptoe a little bit closer to the sideline. He finally motions for, I believe it was Drew Sample or Tanner Hudson, one of the tight ends, to go long. And he just kind of a wing and a prayer, throws it up. Nate Brooks gets a hand on it. Tyson Anderson intercepts it. So that was the first interception of camp this year. And I was talking to Jordan Battle about all this stuff and asked him if he saw who had the tip on that play. And Dejon Anthony weighs in off to the side, and he's the one that said it was Nate Brooks. And I was like, didn't you have the first interception in camp last year? And he said, yeah, I did. First day. He said, Tyson's doesn't count. That was a tip. Those don't count. Dejon's been talking trash this entire camp, and now he's even trash talking his own defensive back, saying, no, I know they have something on the line for whoever gets that first interception, so I'm sure that will be debated. But it was notable that we got 4 practices in before we had an interception, and it's not that the defense hasn't been playing well. It's just they haven't got their hands on the ball.
Not a great decision from Jake Browning.
No.
Whatever that was supposed to be, unless that's truly a fourth down, ringing a prayer, then there was no world where that's the play that should be made. But neither here nor there. Okay, mine. This was interesting. It was a Burrow throwing a deep kind of a back shoulder fade to Andre Yoshvash, who was one-on-one with DJ Turner down the sideline, and Yoshvash turns, DJ Turner doesn't, and comes down with it pretty easily. This is something that we've seen with DJ Turner in his career, locating the ball, being able to see it, and making that play where he can be close or in position, but not being able to locate and make the play. These are the types of plays that DJ Turner has to be better at. And, there's been a number of times where he it's 4 days, it's early, but, you do see him showing up, and he hasn't made as many plays as some of the other guys. And that is kind of a premium example of where they're going to be saying, this is the next level for you, DJ. It can't look like this against Andre Yoshvash in that spot. And so for me, I point to that as a really significant play today to say, still work to do. This is the type of stuff that DJ Turner needs to be getting better at if he's going to win these battles. There's a lot of competition there. Throw Fig Newton in the middle of that thing too. Cam Taylor-Britt. And you're going to, we know what's happening with Dax Hill is going to be a part of all of this. Like there's DJ Ivy has had some moments. Like there's a lot of guys that are going to be in that mix that they're not afraid to play. And he's got to be able to make plays like that if he's going to stay in this competition. So just a note from today. Pads tomorrow. Excited for that.
Yeah.
Make sure you have the YouTube alerts hooked up. I hope you're getting those now. Hope you like these recaps coming your way. We're doing our best to getting them to you as quickly as possible. And thanks everybody that's still listening. We'll be back with the normal kind of the philosophical PD&J. We'll be back on Tuesday, debut of a new segment that I'm very excited about. Mo will join us, so make sure you're hooked into the feed. We'll have our full PD&J on the Tuesday off day, and we'll kind of break down where a lot of things are going there. But outside of that, been a pleasure to bring day 4 to you. We'll talk to you about pads tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.